I'm Jack Rutberg, and this exhibition at Jack Rutberg Fine Arts, entitled Art A to Z, is an interesting exhibition in that we are celebrating 1 year of exhibitions in our new gallery in Pasadena. While we are the longest established, or among the longest established galleries in the west coast of America, this new location, sandwiched between the Norton Simon Museum and the Huntington Museum, introduces itself to a new audience. And I can't think of a better exhibition to celebrate spring and new beginnings than to do an exhibition such as this entitled Art A to Z. It's a favorite subject of mine because it really speaks about collecting. And as many, many art dealers are, I'm a passionate collector. Compulsive, some would say, but what a wonderful curse, and I wish it upon everyone. The exhibition offers an opportunity, particularly in these days when so much focus is on contemporary celebrity artists. Generations of potential collectors and established collectors are finding it harder and harder to come into a gallery and actually seeing an array of works that they might have known about, or artists that they've known about. Here's an opportunity to see the breadth of the collecting that this gallery has done, and the small and large treasures that we have tucked away only for people to ask about and occasionally view. We're very proud of the solo exhibitions that we've done, but for new visitors, it doesn't give them a sense of the opportunities that you have as an audience of potential admirers, collectors, patrons of the arts, and to have the pride of ownership, the thrill of the hunt, and the fulfillment in wonderful, wonderful works of art that are there at your disposal. Standing in front of this work by Jordi Alcaraz doesn't really substitute for engaging it in person. There are things that are limited in videography and photography. There's nuance, there's illusion, and there's alchemy in the manner in which Jordi Alcaraz creates these incredible works. There's a sense of familiarity about the work, and yet we feel that we've never seen anything quite like it, but one has to be here to see this. I hope that as a collector, as a viewer of this video, any opportunity, which is rare, to see Alcaraz's work will be seized upon. We're very proud of being the gallery who introduced this remarkable Spanish artist to America with the first gallery exhibition ever presented. And we continue to champion his works while he is enjoying great, great success in Europe, exhibiting in art fairs internationally, exhibiting in Scandinavia, all the way to Spain, and we're very, very proud to represent Jordi Alcaraz. An example of one extreme of our collection. This exhibition spans 100 years of works, all contemporary at one point. It's spanning the alphabet. We spoke of Jordi Alcaraz. We moved to Z in the alphabet to the works of Francisco Suniga. Arguably the most important sculptor of the 20th century of Latin America and the most widely collected artist of Mexico. Here we have a classic work by Zuniga, a bronze sculpture, and we're seeing opportunities today for collectors. As Zuniga was so heavily collected in the 60s and 70s and 80s and so forth, there's a generational shift. Young collectors are having an opportunity today to consider the works of a great classic sculptor who brought remarkable abstract composition in figurative works. You can turn a sculpture by Suniga in virtually any direction and see the remarkable poetry of movement and expression. One doesn't have to see a face to understand the attitude of the figure. It's not a portrait, it's truly an expression of the great indigenous woman celebrated today internationally. And here we have a wonderful, typical work by Suniga, a drawing that relates to a sculpture that you'll find in the sculpture garden at UCLA, for example. His drawings, as most sculptors, primarily worked in drawings and prints. Very seldom are they painters. Here we have a classic work by Suniga. Here we have a beautiful original lithograph by Marc Chagall. And the point in bringing this to light is the fact that the gallery has no hierarchy in terms of paintings, drawings, prints, and sculpture. Each merit great consideration, as noted by every major international museum in the world. Printmaking is a critical medium, and indeed there are major artists who their primary works of art were prints. In terms of printmaking, the gallery has had a profound interest in fine prints. It's a way to own masterpieces that are more accessible to the collector. There was a time that printmaking was really an entree point. Today in contemporary art, there's a little bit of extreme, should we say, marketing to make them less accessible. But this gallery has had a remarkable history. An artist that, for example, was not a painter, a small amount of sculpture, but a profound printmaker and drawer, was Käthe Kollwitz, currently having a major exhibition at the Museum of Modern Art. I want to show you one work of art. This is a revolving exhibition, and we will change works. That depends on you as a curator. As a collector, you will take works home and we will reinstall a novel approach to an exhibition. So here's a work by Käthe Kollwitz, of Workwoman from 1905, one of the most celebrated women in the history of art. She created this work, this very colorful work. Imagine, it's only one of several works that she did in color. I believe she did 3 original lithographs in color. They were all monochromatic. Artist of the people, the most widely collected artist of Germany in her day. And with the immigration of German collectors that came to America to escape the war, and just after the war, they brought with them remarkable works by Kollwitz. Kollwitz has a profound history in Los Angeles. In 1930, might have been 37, there was a touring exhibition of her prints that traveled America to raise money against the Nazi Party. So Los Angeles was one of those places where her works had a remarkable number of collectors, and indeed the greatest collectors in the world of Kollwitz resided here. The Getty is now the beneficiary of that collection. Some of the discoveries in this gallery has to do with learning about our own history. Los Angeles has been a place where great artists have resided and celebrated, sometimes forgotten, only to be rediscovered. And we're very proud of the fact that we bring to light artists of great consequence, recontextualizing themselves, and what an opportunity for collectors today. We have here on this wall alone 3 major artists, all having a history, some large, some small, in Los Angeles. Emil Bolger was an important artist who early on engaged the works of Kandinsky, was hugely influenced him. He was a founder of the Tao school, transcendentalist. The meditative and spiritual qualities that he was searching for are so evident here. We see a work that is both reminiscent of Kandinsky, its abstraction, and yet you see a reference to nature. This is what preoccupied Emil Bolger. He is not equated with Los Angeles, and yet sometime between 1945 and 51, he had an art school in Los Angeles, a branch of an art school that he had in Taos, New Mexico. Indeed, he founded the first art gallery ever existing in Taos. Another internationally renowned and celebrated and collected artist is Stanton McDonald Wright. Here we have a painting. Stanton McDonald Wright shows his interest in Asian art, poetry, philosophy. He was one of the earliest artists to embrace Eastern influences, spent time in Japan to a great degree, lived in Los Angeles. A founder of the synchronous movement, the early abstract, sort of cubist abstract movement, along with Morgan Russell and others, hugely sought after. And here's a work of art, a painting, which later was done a woodcut in a series of works of woodcuts inspired by Japanese poetry. Another discovery for many, even scholars, is an artist who was profoundly significant in Los Angeles, but before that, profoundly significant in the New York school. Frederick Khan was exhibiting initially with the Die Brücke in Munich before coming to Paris, exhibited with artists such as Leger, came to New York and was one of the founders of the American Abstract Group. Came to Los Angeles in 1940. And you're going to learn more about this because this gallery has a great interest in celebrating Frederick Khan. But this work from 1931 precedes his arrival in Los Angeles, had not only founded an art gallery, but an art movement and a circle of artists trying to emulate what he was so significantly engaged in New York. I won't say more about this now, but stay tuned because Frederick Khan is an artist to reckon with and an incredible opportunity for collectors. More discoveries to be made in this exhibition. Ladislav Kizhno, Polish-born artist, worked in Paris, and you see a rare example of his to be shown here in the States. We don't see Kizhno's works, but another opportunity for collectors. Peter Krasnow, one of the more eccentric sort of painters. He was hugely significant, came to Los Angeles in the 20s and late 20s and 30s, shown at the Los Angeles County Museum and Palace of Legion of Honor in San Francisco, etc. And here we see a work from 1974, this high-key colors. He was profoundly moved by circumstances in the world, and I want to read just one quote. He stated, "When tragedy was at the deepest point, my paintings breathed joy and light, color structures instead of battle scenes, symmetry to repair broken worlds, a means of protest to ease the pain." Artists dealt with life as it was around them, not necessarily in their neighborhood, but they had a worldview. And Peter Krasnow is an artist who's just recently had an exhibition, a major show at the Skirball Museum, and we invite you to come in and engage his work. He was also a significant sculptor. Jumping to more contemporary work, we have here work by Mark Licari, dealing with surrealism in a contemporary manner, speaking again, as Peter Krasnow was dealing with the world around him, he's dealing with the state of mind today, and with humor and irony, this wonderful work with collage elements and drawing. Mark Licari is one of the sort of discoveries that you'll find in this exhibition that is so eclectic. Eclectic enough for you? Here's a work by Karl Appel. Many know him as Karl Appel, but he's Dutch, and he was one of the founders of the Cobra movement. Here we have a painted sculpture, wood sculpture by Karl Appel. Here we have an extraordinary artist, Lynn Folks, a painting that's sculpted and painted. Lynn Folks is one of the most remarkable artists of Los Angeles, internationally collected, exhibited, brought great recognition to the Ferris Gallery in the 60s when he, among other artists of that gallery, were invited to the Paris Biennale, and who should win the prize that year with Lynn Folks. He was on the covers of every major magazine, more recently exhibited Documenta, Venice Biennale, etc., and truly one of the giants in contemporary art of Los Angeles. The exhibition also has works of Mexican artists. We've discussed Francisco Suniga, born in Costa Rica, but celebrated and really claimed as a Mexican artist by Mexico as well. Diego Rivera, this work recently included in the literature of the major exhibition in San Francisco at the museum, and we're delighted to have this here available for your viewing. Also of Mexico is Gustavo Montoya, this very beautiful early painting of this boy carrying these jugs of water. It's a stunning work, echoes Rivera somewhat, and I think a remarkably rare example by Montoya. 1941 work here by Hans Burkhart. I won't say much about Burkhart, but this gallery has had a profound history with Hans Burkhart, and I invite you to view other videos on Hans Burkhart alone on our website video page. Very pleased to present here a work by Ruth Weisberg, our recent solo exhibition. Several museums acquired Ruth Weisberg's works very recently. An artist who has had more than 200 group exhibitions, more than 80 solo exhibitions, a profound and most celebrated history of figurative painters in Los Angeles. And at the same time, we have championed Jerome Witkin, done historically important exhibitions of his works, including having brought him together from his estranged identical twin, Joel Peter Witkin, an exhibition that made history and generated documentary films, books, and a museum tour. Jerome Witkin is argued by many to be unequaled as a narrative painter in America today. Included in the exhibition is another artist that I have collected, and I'm so proud to have introduced the works of Honol Baron to California. We championed Honol Baron, and her works are today so sought after and so admired, a remarkable artist. Again, consider viewing a video on her on our website. Small treasures include this little work by George Herms, another significant artist of Los Angeles, the Beat Generation. And here's a collage by George Nama, a New York artist that we, again, brought to light here in Los Angeles, featuring his body of work inspired by, for example, his close friend George Romero, filmmaker of renown. And I'm so delighted to be able to continue representation of George Nama among these many works. So in this video, if you sense a sort of excitement of sharing, it's because that's the collector speaking here. You're seeing examples of works that are part of a large collection, and I'm not immune to that process. That's what we try to inspire you. I will even share my most recent acquisition. What is not generally known is I have, for example, through my interest in 19th century French symbolists, these were the pre-Freud, these were pre-surrealist, sensual paintings and so forth. I became very interested in the works of Favon Lur, well known for his flower images, less known for what his largest body of work, which is symbolist works inspired by music mostly. And very recently, I came onto the most compelling work of art, not for sale. It's a work that Favon Lur, like most great artists who worked in making copies of old masters, here we see one of the most compelling portraits in all of art history. It's a painting after Rubens. Rubens painted his 5-year-old child in a provocative way because it was not common at that time to do a portrait frontally. There would always be a slight alteration to the pose so as not to be too intimate. But his great love of his daughter was profound, and Favon Lur was often commissioned. It was before posters and reproductions were not easily found. It was often commissioned to do great paintings of old masters, Tintoretto and Titian, Rembrandt, and here we have this incredible portrait, a painting by Favon Lur. So it's a treasure that was recently discovered, and I'm so proud to have it. There'll be more about Favon Lur at a later time. In closing, we invite the viewer to the gallery Presently, there's a major exhibition at the Norton Simon Museum of Goya's etchings. It's a lifetime opportunity to see literally every etching he ever made, some 200 works of art, not to be missed. Go to the Norton Simon, be inspired. Maybe you'll come to Jack Rutberg Fine Arts and acquire a work for your own. It's important that collectors understand that one can acquire works by great artists of the past. These are contemporary artists of their day. Profound, provocative, revolutionary, and yet accessible at prices that can be far, far less than significant contemporary artists today.